breaking down the Vikings from the perspective of a former NFL General Manager of the Year. It's Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, presented by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
Welcome to Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday. Today it's Tuesday because the Vikings played on Monday night. But the rest of the season, after the bye week, it will be every Monday and every Thursday. Actually, starting a week from this Thursday, when we'll preview the Vikings and the Raiders as the Vikings come back from the bye week. And our show is brought to you by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers on 1500 ESPN and available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond, former Vikings GM, former Tennessee Titans president. Our producer is AJ Fredrickson, does a fantastic job putting our show together, even when we have lowlights like the Monday night game against the Chicago Bears, which was not a thriller for the primetime viewers and certainly not the result that the Vikings were hoping for.
No.
Going into Monday night, hoping to get to 7-5. They come out of the game at 6-6. Now sitting in a more precarious spot in the NFC playoff race and also in the NFC North race when they had a chance to get within a game and a half of Detroit. Instead, they're 2.5 games behind. But the Lions have a tough schedule ahead, including 4 of their next 5 on the road, starting this week at New Orleans. They've got some tough games ahead. The Vikings have 2 matchups with them, but the Vikings have to take care of their own business, get through the bye, get some guys rested. The good news coming out of today after a very damaging loss is that Justin Jefferson has been activated officially to the 53-man roster, and so he will be playing, barring any unforeseen circumstances in the next 2 weeks. He'll be playing in Las Vegas against the Raiders on December 10th when the Vikings come back from their bye. O'Connell said today, AJ, that he's going to pick the quarterback who works best with Justin. Not a shock there.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
And so he is not committing to Josh Dobbs after Dobbs' rather disastrous game with 4 interceptions. And so we'll see how that one shakes out.
Yeah, and I think that's smart of him. I think he knows that after the performance we saw, because it's not like this was he got thrown in the fires, like similar to what maybe a Josh Freeman did back in 2013, where there was just, take the reins and just do the best you can. This was essentially his 3rd game. Now he's played 4 almost complete games for the Vikings, and it did not look great against a not-so-good Bears team. So and maybe the bye, they reset, and he does win that QB battle, so to speak, with Jaron Hall, but I'm excited to see what Kevin O'Connell wants to do here after the bye. Yeah,
and I do think the Bears' defense is a little bit underrated. They've got some talented guys. They picked up Montez Sweat at the trade deadline,
That's
and
right.
he was very impactful in the game, had 1.5 sacks, and gave Brian O'Neill all he could handle, and the Vikings' excellent right tackle. So Sweat has really helped the Bears' pass rush, and they've got 2 excellent free agent linebackers in Edmonds and Edwards, and some good players, Jalen Johnson, the corner. But even still, it was just a game that I have to say, after watching so much Vikings football over the years, it was one of the most careless games by a quarterback that I've ever seen in terms of throwing it up for grabs, throwing it in spots where there were dangerous throws by Josh Dobbs, and just, I think, disappointing from the standpoint of so many turnovers that he's had when you stack them on top of each other after he had two turnovers against Denver in the loss, and then he has 4 more against the Bears in this loss. That's 6 in 2 weeks, including the Atlanta game. That's 8 in 4 weeks. That's too many, and I think that's why O'Connell is taking a little bit of a closer look at what he wants to do at quarterback between Dobbs, who I still think is a talented guy, if they can rein him in and kind of teach him how to take a sack once in a while if you have to, or throw it away. I think part of the difficulty in the Bear game was the Bears did a really excellent job on the perimeter in terms of shutting down the bootlegs that Dobbs likes to do and that O'Connell likes to run with him, the rollouts, and he had guys in his face immediately on those situations. Several times it was Sweat. and that made it more difficult. But overall, I think that it's going to be an interesting couple weeks, seeing what happens with the quarterback situation, getting Jefferson back in sync with the offense. And defensively, you have to say when you hold the team to 4 field goals, you've played well enough to win. Mm-hmm. But certainly the last drive by the Bears and almost the first drive by the Bears when they held the ball for close to 9 minutes, only got a field goal out of it. But the last drive, particularly with a 1-point lead, and I'll back up a second, AJ, and talk about the series that the Vikings had when Josh Metellus forces the fumble by Fields with 3:28 remaining. The Vikings have the ball in the Chicago 48. O'Connell puts his jumbo package in to run the ball twice, right up, basically up the gut against the number 1 run defense in the league. To me, that's the series that cost him the game as much as the last big play by DJ Moore, because you cannot count on holding a 1-point lead with 2 minutes to go in an NFL game against anybody. Yeah. And a guy like Justin Fields, who's mobile, and DJ Moore, who's a dynamic receiver, that was just a dangerous strategy. And O'Connell went very conservative there, which he did at moments in the Denver game too. I think that was a big mistake, not to try to pick up a couple first downs and run out the clock or get it into field goal range so Joseph could have a makeable field goal, get a 4-point lead. Then the Bears have to drive to a touchdown. I thought that was a series that really was costly when he went ultra-conservative, 2 runs, unimaginative, and then a throw on the perimeter to Powell rather than trying to hit Hockenson. That I thought was really a disastrous series for the Vikings. Then they have a bad punt by Ryan Wright, who's not having as good a year as he did last year. He has a 26-yard punt when certainly the object at that point, pin him down inside their 10-yard line. He couldn't accomplish that. He kicks it out of bounds at the 22, gives Fields more field position to work with. And then I thought the other coaching error in the game was obviously on that 3rd and 10 play on the last Bears drive. How can DJ Moore possibly be allowed to get wide open in that situation? Byron Murphy, who had him a lot of the day man on man, they're running a zone defense. They're rushing 4 instead of blitzing to put some pressure on Fields, which they've done all game fairly successfully. So they're running a zone. Somebody busted the coverage. He's wide open. Murphy passes him off to the middle of the field, and nobody's there. That can't happen in that kind of a clutch situation, which again takes me back to that's why you have to score points on the previous drive for the Vikings or run out the clock, whatever it takes, get some first downs. That was where I thought they really fell short in terms of O'Connell's play calling and in terms of Brian Flores, who obviously has done a great job with the defense, but there have been moments, and that was a moment when I think Murphy should have been singled up on more with safety help. It's obvious who Fields is going to go to. The guy's got 10 catches already in the game. Who's he going to go to? He's going to go to DJ Moore, and he's wide open. That's crazy. That's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So let's go to our highlights before I get more worked up again. And courtesy of ESPN, the Monday Night Crew, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, managed to stay awake for this semi-snooze fest. And the Vikings have played a lot of exciting games over the years. And their previous Monday night game against San Francisco, probably their best game of the year when Cousins was incredible. But this Monday night game, not so great. So going early in the game, the Vikings establish some good pressure on Fields early on. And here's a sack from the rookie undrafted linebacker, Ivan Pace Jr.
Fields is finally brought down. Ivan Pace, the rookie who has taken over.
Well, Ivan Pace, you see him right here, number 40. Now you've got another rookie in Roschon Johnson, the running back, who's trying to pick him up. But that's what Pace does really well. He's an undersized linebacker.
A nice play by the rookie linebacker who has taken on a bigger role with Jordan Hicks out of the lineup. And I think they miss Hicks. Let's face it. Yeah. He was their leading tackler. He was good in coverage. He's the kind of guy that may have been in that middle zone, perhaps, on that last play to DJ Moore. And hopefully they'll get Hicks back later in the season. We'll see on that. Maybe Marcus Davenport makes a shocking appearance too at some point to help the run defense, help the pass rush. So the Vikings, at this point, early in the game, the Bears get a field goal. They're up 3-0 after the Pace sack. Josh Dobbs throws his first interception of the game. This is early second quarter.
This is Chandler, who we'll see a fair amount tonight.
Dobbs protected and picked by Jalen Johnson. Johnson on the return will take it down inside the 40. And a takeaway for the Chicago defense.
And I feel like we've seen that throw from Josh Dobbs in his short tenure here with the Vikings. I think it was maybe last week where he had the same idea, trying to just float one over a DB to Jordan Addison. That one probably should have been picked the week prior. This one, it does end up getting picked. Is that just bad selection, or is that just a throw that maybe they draw up and they're just relying on no matter what, Jeff?
Yeah, I think it's a throw that he just has to make sure he gets it over that corner, and it's a great play by Jalen Johnson. But in that situation, he's got to make the throw with enough depth that it's not going to be picked off in that situation. The Vikings, second quarter, late second quarter. Here's a great catch by Brandon Powell that sets up a tying field goal.
Those drops are the ones that he's going to remember.
Second down. Here's Powell spinning. What a catch.
Great catch, and that was a great throw by Dobbs in that situation. So we go to the third quarter, 3-3 at halftime. Vikings not doing much, 0 for 4 on third downs in the first half. In the game, they were 2 for 12, or 2 for 9. That's something that's got to improve. They were 2 for 12 against Denver. Got to improve that stat going forward, whoever the quarterback is. Here's a play on the first drive of the third quarter. O'Connell, I thought, made another mistake here, going for it on 4th and 7 from the Minnesota 49. I think he's getting a little antsy at this point and goes for it in this situation when the Bears had not done hardly anything on offense to that point. Just kick the ball downfield, trust your defense in that situation, make Fields drive the whole length of the field, but he goes for it on 4th and 7. Dobbs makes a bad throw behind Hawkinson. He gets tackled. Here's the play.
Vikings showing that they're going to go for it. Play clock. They're going to snap it. Here's Hawkinson. Catch made. Tackle made.
And it's another basically turnover on downs in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things we talked about the Vikings defense in this game, and certainly it was very impressive that the Bears got only 3 points in the game off of 4 turnovers, the 4 interceptions, whereas the Vikings got 7 points off one of their turnovers in the game, and that's a good stat for the defense, definitely.
Yeah,
as they were holding up their end of the bargain until that last an unfortunate sequence that we'll get to here shortly. But before we do that, let's talk about our great sponsor, GMC and the select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. There are trucks, then there's the truck, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your local GMC dealer. Come take a test drive today and see for yourself. We are professional-grade GMC. Well-qualified buyers step up to GMC with 0.9% APR on 2023 Sierra light-duty models, plus no monthly payments until 2024. See your local GMC dealer today. Length of contract limited, deferred monthly payments for 120 days. Excludes residents of Pennsylvania and Maine. Must finance with GM Financial. Down payment required at signing if applicable. Finance charges accrue from date of financing. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/4/23. So we're into the fourth quarter now. Here's Josh Dobbs again. his 4th interception of the game.
Yannick Ngakoue just limped off the field for the Bears. This one is intercepted by Chicago. And Kyler Gordon. Justin Jones was bobbling it, and Gordon came away with it.
What do you think about that one? Falling backwards.
Yeah.
Kind of a shovel pass almost, and the first person it touches after traveling 2 feet is somebody in a white Bears jersey.
Yeah, it's Dalton Reisner. It was a terrible play. It was careless. That's the kind of play that Kevin O'Connell does not want to see. And the first interception that we didn't play went off Jordan Addison's hands. That's not Josh Dobbs' fault. The other 3, definitely his fault. This was his worst one. And it looked like at that point, the Bears are in Vikings in field goal range. Looks like they're going to go up by 2 scores, thinking the game's over. But Justin Fields, who had kind of an up and down day, the Vikings get a big takeaway. Josh Metellus on the pressure. He and Daniil Hunter force the fumble. Sheldon Day recovers to keep it a 1-score game.
Fields pulls out. Sheldon Day is there. Metellus knocked it out. And that is a huge takeaway for this Vikings defense and the newcomer Day.
And Jeff, you mentioned kind of the up and down game that Justin Fields has. I mean, it seemed like it was Jekyll and Hyde, where one drive, he's scrambling, he's dicing, he's hitting DJ Moore for big pickups, and the next drive, 3 and out, can't do anything. Was that adjustments mid-game by Brian Flores and kind of that chess match of we see what you do, we're going to adjust, or was that just kind of his skill level maybe allows that for that off and on type of play?
Yeah, I think he's an inconsistent guy. He's certainly a talented player. We know that, and great running quarterback. But if they can keep him in the pocket, I don't think Justin Fields sees the field real well, and I think that's perhaps a fault of the Bears' scheme and their offensive coordinator not to get him rolling out more and get him in a position where he can have a run-pass option when he's in the pocket, even though on that last play to DJ Moore, we're going to see shortly, he was in the pocket, stepped up, made a great throw. Just a little inconsistent. The Bears are going to have a big decision to make on Justin Fields after this season, and certainly these last five games for Chicago are going to have a major impact as they sit at 4-8 now, and how he plays down the stretch, because they're going to be sitting with Carolina's first-round pick from the Bryce Young trade. It's a really excellent quarterback class with guys like Caleb Evans and May from North Carolina. Do the Bears stick with Fields, or do they move on to another quarterback? Do you start over? It's a tough call. If Fields can become more consistent as he was at times in the Vikings game, as he was most of the game against Detroit that the Bears should have won, except the Bears got super conservative like the Vikings did at the end of this game. Mm-hmm. I still think Justin Fields is a good player. So that's going to be a tough call for them. But let's go to our last couple of highlights. Another fumble by Fields on another hit by Josh Metellus, who had a really excellent game. And this set the Vikings up to potentially run out the clock.
Fields steps through. Will try to get it with his legs. Ball's out. Another Fields turnover. Metellus knocked this one out, and the Vikings have it up by a point.
Great play, Anthony Barr in the recovery, the new addition, old addition to the Vikings, and so.
And I mean, speak about great plays in a game that was just so score dry. The Vikings finally get in the end zone at one point in that fourth quarter. No.
Yes, they do actually, and let's go back to that highlight too. Before this particular play, a good drive by the Vikings and some big plays, including when Addison's wide open on the sideline and Dobbs throws it out of bounds, even though Addison lost his bearings on the field and could have made the play. But at that point where Fields does make that fumble, the Vikings had already taken the lead, and that was on this play to T.J. Hawkinson.
They're going to put a drive together and put themselves back in the game.
Gordon went back to the sideline. Brisker's over there too. End zone. Hawkinson, touchdown.
And that's a great throw by Josh Dobbs. So that's the teasing element that we're getting. We're seeing some great plays, the throw to Powell, the throw to Hawkinson here, and then all these interceptions. Can Kevin O'Connell rein this in, or does he go a different direction with Nick Mullins or Jaron Hall? We shall see in the next 2 weeks ahead. As I said, that touchdown and the fumble forced by Metellus, Vikings get the ball back. Bears territory, sit on the lead, ultra conservative, punt the ball, bad punt. Bears come back down the field, a couple Fields runs, sets up this dagger to DJ Moore.
Fields lets it go. DJ Moore has it down inside the 15. And the biggest throw of the night at the biggest time for Justin Fields.
That's just one of those plays, Jeff, where if you sit back like that, how is he that wide open? No?
Exactly. That's a busted coverage is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's a situation, as I said, where Murphy should have been on him man-on-man with safety help, double DJ Moore, make Fields go to his not primary receiver, which gives the pass rush more time to get to him. Just a terrible play. And in the worst possible time. But that's what happens when you leave yourself susceptible to one play deciding a ball game, and that's what happened to the Vikings in this situation. Let's hear from Kevin O'Connell, and then we'll get to some talk about games around the NFL over the weekend and in the week ahead.
Type of atmosphere it was. Did not have the performance we wanted to have offensively. Credit Flo and his guys once again for keeping us in a football game that we had no right being in, with how poor we played on offense with the turnovers. Until we figure out a way to play complementary with our defense and get a little bit more production without having the ball turned over on offense, we're not going to win football games. So we've got to, as a staff, use this bye week. A lot of reflection on what we've done, how we've gotten here. We'll get healthier coming off this bye, and in the mix to go try to chase down everything we hope to do, which was get in the dance. But we've got to start playing football, especially offensively, at a higher clip without turning the football over. Give ourselves more opportunities. I think we had 22 plays in the first half. Just not good enough across the board. Starts with me.
Here's Josh Dobbs, who was the NFL story of the year for 2 weeks. And now the Pastronaut, unfortunately, has come back to earth. And here's Josh after the game.
Tough loss tonight. I thought the crowd, starting with the fans, man, the environment out there was electric, and it was fun to be out there. Wish we could have came up with the win for the fans, for the guys, in the locker room. Defense did a great job again, giving the offense a chance. We got to take care of the football. We said it last week, and we'll say it again this week. And we didn't make enough plays to win. We had a chance at the end. Again, the ball in our hands with a chance to get a first down, to really seal the deal at the end of the game, despite everything that happened throughout the game. It's a tough one. Give it up to the Bears for making enough plays to win the ball game in the end. And obviously bye week where guys can get rested, rejuvenated, and we'll be back. We'll look at the film. I'll be better, and especially in the situations, and making sure that we're not playing in defense on short fields and we're taking care of the ball on offense, because it starts with me. And we'll hit the ground running when we get back from the bye.
Before we hear from Josh Metellus on the defensive side, let's hear from our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
There are trucks, then there's the truck, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your local GMC dealer. Come take a test drive today and see for yourself. We are professional-grade GMC. Well-qualified buyers step up to GMC with 0.9% APR on 2023 Sierra light-duty models. Plus, no monthly payments until 2024. See your local GMC dealer today. Length of contract limited. Deferred monthly payments for 120 days. Excludes residents of Pennsylvania and Maine. Must finance with GM Financial. Down payment required at signing if applicable. Finance charges accrue from date of financing. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/4/23.
Let's hear from Josh Metellus. 9 tackles, a half a sack, playing really well this season, and had those 2 forced fumbles on Justin Fields in the game.
It felt like we could have been playing good, but on our end, we felt like we could have been playing a lot better. So that's it. All I got to say.
On that final drive, the DJ Moore catch, what happened on that?
They did a good job finding a spot in the zone. We third down, they already needed but so much yards to go. So we're trying to play aggressive. Trying to keep them from getting big chunk plays, forcing them to throw the ball down the middle of the field. They made a good play.
And now that the defense, how do you lift up the offense in a time like this? You guys are heading into bye, and that's kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth heading into things.
You lean on each other the most. Adversity brings out the true character of this team, and we're in the thick of it right now. Losing back-to-back games, games where we felt like we should have won. Games not felt like that we should have won, in my opinion. And it's just about leaning on each other and finding a way to go through this last stretch of December where football really counts, with the right mindset.
And speaking of the bye, I think it comes at a good time. The Vikings could get another week of recovery for Justin Jefferson, get some perhaps Marcus Davenport healthy, and get some other guys that are banged up, such as TJ Hawkinson. And let's hear from TJ about the bye week.
Yeah, everything's out in front of us. We gotta take this rest and recover. We need it. A lot of guys in here are very much in need of it. You got to get away from here and just forget about football for a few days, and then come back and rest it and recharge and just dial it in. We have a second half of this football game. I think it's 5 games left, and we just need to do our thing. We need to come back and pound the rock, and we'll be right where we want to be at the end of the year, and we'll continue this thing. So I don't think there's any disbelief in this locker room. I think obviously there's guys that are looking in themselves, looking at the mirror, and from tonight, but we got to move on, enjoy this bye, and come back and recharged and ready to go.
And I think part of the recharge and part of the spark can be the return of Justin Jefferson, league's best receiver. You're talking about a guy who was averaging 114 yards per game of production for a team that had 242 yards of offense entirely against the Bears. So it's obvious what Jefferson can do, provided, first of all, the offensive line and the pass protection needs to be much better. Dobbs was pressured on 44% of his dropbacks. That's way too much, similar to what happened in Denver. They have to protect him better, or Nick Mullins, or Jaron Hall, whoever the quarterback is, and give him time to find Jefferson. But with him back in the lineup, I think it's going to open up more space for Jordan Addison, for TJ Hawkinson, for KJ Osborne, and get the Vikings back to what they need to be. Offensive line has to play better. Looking around the NFL, over the Thanksgiving weekend, of course, the Green Bay win over Detroit was huge for the Vikings, for the Packers in the division. Mm-hmm. The Vikings still could have an opportunity. The Lions have a tough schedule ahead. 4 out of 5, next 5 are on the road, including at New Orleans this week. It's going to be a big game for the Saints, who are tied for the lead in the NFC South. Need to get a win. Best game of Week 12 that I saw, Philadelphia's rally to beat Buffalo. Great game. It ended with a great 59-yard field goal by Jake Elliott in the rain. That was an unbelievable kick. And then Jalen Hurts drives them down for the winning score. Baltimore, the number 1 seed in the AFC, had a big win in LA over the Chargers. The Jaguars knock off Houston, an exciting game that ended with a doink on the crossbar. So a lot of great games over the weekend. Denver won their 5th straight, and they're in contention, turning the ball over at a high rate. And as we head into Week 13, some big games ahead. Detroit at New Orleans, I mentioned. Green Bay is hosting Kansas City. The Vikings need the Chiefs to rise up. You've got San Francisco at Philadelphia, Seattle at Dallas in big games. And we will be back a week from Thursday to preview the Vikings at the Raiders. And then AJ and I will be back after that game the following Monday to talk about the Raider game. And this has been Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. This is Jeff Diamond with AJ Fredrickson. Everybody have a great week, and we will talk to you next week.